Okay, so what is PTO Exchange? Well, it's like the name implies, it's a way for you to take some of that accrued but unused paid time off that you have and do something else with it, something that's valuable to you. We at PTO Exchange recognize that it is very important for people to get away, recoup, and recharge and refresh. But we also recognize that there's a lot of PTO that gets accrued every year that does go unused simply because you can't get away. And so this is an opportunity for you to find value in that time that you can't actually use as time off. And so the available plans, these are the things that you can do in the PTO Exchange platform. From a financial wellness perspective, you can take the value of some of that accrued time and contribute it to your 401k. You can use it as an emergency cash out, and we'll look at how that works. Education, you can use it to reimburse yourself for student loan payments and things like that. Or you could put it in your HSA if you're a current HSA participant. From a social well-being perspective, you can donate the value of your time to your favorite nonprofit. You can share it with coworkers who are in need. And then on the travel side, you can set yourself up to take a week off and then go use some of that accrued unused time and the value of it to book your hotel, to purchase your airfare, car rental, and so forth, and then really go on a vacation that maybe is an upgrade from what you could have taken otherwise. There are a couple of rules that we're going to follow. The first one is that you have to maintain a minimum of 40 hours of PTO in your balance at all times. So in PTO Exchange, if you have 40 hours or less of total PTO accrued, you cannot make any exchange. You can't use the system. You always have to be above that 40 in order to make an exchange. And above that 40, you can exchange up to 40 hours per year. So once you've used 40 hours on the exchange, then you're done for the year. You'll get to use another 40 the next year. And when you do use time on the system, that time gets deducted from your PTO balance. So everyone is already loaded into the system. There's nothing you need to do to go create an account or anything like that. You just go out to PTOExchange.com. You click the login button up in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, and you enter your KinsleyGroup.com email address and click Next. When you do that, an email is going to get sent to that email inbox. Go out there, open that email, click the validation link in that email, and then create your password. Passwords must be at least 12 characters long, and they have to contain at least one uppercase, one lowercase, one number, and one special character. No spaces are allowed in the password. Once you've done that, anytime you want to go into PTO Exchange, you just go to PTOExchange.com, enter your email address, enter your password, and you'll be in the system. So let's have a look at what that looks like live. I'm going to come out here. I've logged in. I've gone out, opened my browser. I've logged in. This is me. And you'll see that from over there in the payroll system, I've got 142 hours. Now, this is going to get refreshed every pay period. So if you ever see a difference between this number and what's over in payroll, payroll is what's truth. So it just means that we have not refreshed yet from the last time that the change was made in payroll. But at any rate, I have 143 hours total. Of those, 40 are available to me to use on the system, and the value of those 40 is $1,800. So let's have a look at how you use it. I'm going to click on Giving, which is that ability to donate to nonprofits. I'm going to go to United Through Reading, which is one of my favorite nonprofits. United Through Reading, this is a nonprofit. You notice that I typed in the name. You also notice that as I typed it in wrong, other possible choices came up. We are integrated to the IRS's database of 501c3s, which means all of the 1.7 million registered nonprofits in the U.S. are available to you. I'm going to click on Use My PTO, and when I do, you'll see I have my 40 hours that are available to me to use. Excuse me, I'm going to use 4 of those hours as a donation to the nonprofit. The amount of the gross value of those 4 hours is $180. There is a service charge that must be taken. This is required by the IRS. The reason that it's required is because the IRS considers your paid time off to be deferred income. So in other words, it's income that you have earned but have not yet received, and important to the IRS, you have not yet paid taxes on it. And so in order to use some of that without using all of it, you do have to pay a forfeiture. It's the same rule as the one that applies when you try and take an early withdrawal from a 401k plan. So $166.50 is what's actually going to go to my paycheck. It is taxable income, so it will be taxed. And then the deduction of $166.50, that donation to the nonprofit, is going to come back off my paycheck. Now, I can include my name and my address, in which case we will send that with your donation to the nonprofit, or I can choose to be anonymous. I can always put something in this notes to nonprofit area, and when I do that, anything that you type in here, we will also send to the nonprofit. So if you have a specific use that you want for this money that you're donating, just type that in there and we will be sure that that gets sent as well. I'm going to agree to the terms of service and submit. And when I do, I get a receipt. This is a printable receipt that can be used when you file your taxes at the end of the year. I'm going to go ahead and click back to the dashboard. You'll see I now have a transaction sitting here waiting to be sent over to payroll. You'll also see that those 4 hours have been deducted from my annual allowance that I can use on PTO Exchange. I'm going to skip sharing and come back to it in just a minute because that's the one plan that's a little bit different. I'm going to go to retirement, which is my 401k, and I'm going to click that. See, I now have 36 hours I can use. I'm going to say I want to put a full day, 8 hours worth of time into my 401k. You'll notice, again, that IRS required service charge, which means $333 is going to go onto my paycheck. It's going to be taxed as a 401k contribution, which, if you all remember, 401k is not taxable for federal withholding. It is taxable for Social Security and Medicare. So that's going to go onto my paycheck. It's going to come right back off again and get sent to the 401k administrator. I'm going to submit that. I just got an email confirmation. I got one also from the nonprofit. Every time I make a transaction in the system, I do get a confirmation email. So I'm going to go back. There's my 401k transaction sitting there waiting to be sent to payroll as well. Next is the health savings account. Again, it works just like the 401k. I can put in the number of hours. I say I agree. Now, HSA, if you remember, is fully non-taxable. It's a pre-tax plan. And so whatever amount goes in is going to just turn around and come right back off, and it's going to go over to my HSA account. Now, one thing about the retirement and the HSA, if you are not currently participating in those plans, so in other words, if you're not an HSA participant, you will not see that button. Same thing if you are not a current 401k participant, you won't see the retirement button. The flip side of that is also true. If you are already contributed to the maximum on the health savings or the retirement, then you also will not see those buttons. Okay, going on to education. Education, I can choose to reimburse myself for student loan payments, tuition that I've paid, or 529 contributions I've made. I'm going to say I made a student loan payment. I made that payment back on April 24th, and I paid $125. I paid it to Nelnet, which is my my student loan processor. Now, in this case, I do need to attach a receipt, and a receipt is nothing more than a screenshot confirmation of the payment that you made. So you can either do that when you make that payment with your provider. You can do it on, if they send you an email confirmation, just take a screenshot of that. But at any rate, we just need to see proof that you did make this student loan payment. So I'm going to attach the student loan payment here. I'm going to go to Documents, and I'm going to go to my PDFs. There's my Nelnet receipt. I'm going to put that and put it in there. I'm going to say I agree and I submit. Now in this case, because it is a reimbursement, what the system does is it looks at that $125 and says, okay, we know that service charge has to apply. That's an IRS rule. We also know that this is taxable income, so we're going to estimate some taxes on top of it, and then we're going to compare that to your hourly pay rate. And in this case, it says I can use up to 4 hours to get myself reimbursed for that $125 student loan payment I made. Now, 4 hours has a value of $180 minus the service charge, means $166.50 is going to get added to my paycheck. It is taxable income, so it'll be taxed. And what's left after the taxes are taken is going to be right around that $125. That's what's going to get added to my net pay, and that's how I reimburse myself for a student loan payment, a 529 contribution, or tuition payment that I made. So I submit that, go back to the dashboard. I just got my email, and there's my student loan reimbursement sitting here waiting to get sent over to payroll. Okay, emergency cash. Now, there are times in your life when you have an emergency and you need to take a little extra cash. In this case, let's say I need $200 and I need it, and the applicable reasons in this case, if I have an auto repair, if I have home repair, or if I have a medical expense. In this case, we'll say it's an auto repair. Now, you do need to attach, and again, this doesn't have to be a receipt in this case. It can be an estimate from your car repair person or your home repair or whatever. I'm going to attach that receipt. It's a Woodinville auto repair. We're going to say that that's what it is. I request it and I submit. Again, the system does exactly what it does on education. It says, okay, you're going to have to use 7 hours to get $200 back on your paycheck. That's $315 total minus the service charge is $291.38. So I'm going to agree to that and submit it, and then go back to the dashboard, and now I've got my emergency cash out. Okay, travel. We do have a partnership with Priceline.com, and when you book travel, what you're going to do here is go out to our travel website. This is a closed network, but it is using Priceline.com. Now, Priceline, because it's a closed network and only PTO Exchange users can get to it, Priceline does guarantee that that this site has their lowest possible rates on it. So oftentimes you'll even find lower rates here than what you might find on their public website. I'm going to go ahead and say I want to go to Las Vegas, and I'm going to check in at the end of the month here and find my deal. It works exactly like any other travel website you might use. It's going to come out here and it's going to look for the hotel rates. Wow, you can get a hotel room for $17 a night in Las Vegas at the end of the month. Anyway, I'm going to click book now. To book my room, I'm going to pull out my own personal credit card to book that room. Same thing with airfare, same thing on the car rentals. Once I do that, once I've booked those, then Priceline sends back to PTO Exchange that confirmation of that booking, and it puts it right here in the recent activity with a green reimburse button in the status area. And now when you're ready to use PTO to reimburse yourself for that travel, you click that button and it will do the same thing it does on emergency cash and student loan. It will gross up the itinerary, and then it will let you cash out to pay for the travel using your PTO. So that's all of those. Now let's go back to sharing. That was the one we skipped. Now sharing is that ability for you to take some of your accrued time and put it into a pool where other coworkers who are in need can request it from that pool. So in this case, I'm going to share, which just means I've got some extra hours here and I'm going to donate them to the pool. I'm going to say I want to donate 5 hours, and I agree and submit. You'll notice that there's no service charge. There's no required forfeiture or anything like that. The reason is because this is the one area where the IRS does allow us to make that donation without any taxes on the donor. Now, the caveat there is that you can only donate to a pool. You cannot donate to another person. If you donate directly to another person, then you first have to pay taxes on that donation, and then the other person receiving the time has to pay taxes on it as well. So the way we do this is through the pool. You donate. The only thing that happens to you here is that those 5 hours get deducted from your PTO balance. What happens behind the scenes is the value of those 5 hours, or $225 in this case, gets added to the sharing pool. Now, as employees, as your coworkers who have a need come in, they can request PTO. In this case, let's say I need an extra week off. I'm going to put in the comment field, this is the reason, this is my medical emergency that I'm experiencing. This is the reason that I need that extra time off. I'm going to attach documentation here, which is filling out a request form that you can find out on your internal network and uploading it here. This is the one type of transaction in the system that once you submit it, it stays in a submitted state until someone from HR looks at it, looks at the documentation that you've uploaded, looks at your current PTO balance and so forth, and then it determines that you have met the criteria in order to receive time out of the sharing pool. Now, if you do receive time out of the sharing pool, that time, the hours, will get added into your PTO balance, and then you'll be able to use them as regular PTO. So that's how sharing works. Okay, so now we've done some transactions here. I've got 12 hours left in the year that I can use. You'll see these approved transactions down here. As long as the status says approved, that means that this transaction is sitting here in a pending state, waiting to be sent to payroll and show up on my paycheck. As long as it's in an approved state, I can open it and I can cancel it. So let's say I decide, you know what, I really want to use this time as time off. I want those 8 hours back from the 401k. So I can click 401k. I can cancel the transaction and say confirm. When I go back to the dashboard, you'll see those hours are now added back into my exchange available. You'll also see my 401k transaction is canceled. So this will not get sent to payroll now. So anytime you want to cancel a transaction, you can do so as long as it's still in an approved state. Now, once it gets sent to payroll, that status changes to paid. Anything that's in a paid status means it's been sent to payroll, it's a done deal, it's going to show up on the next paycheck. So you cannot cancel something that has a status of paid. At any time, if you're in the system and you just need to get back to the dashboard, you can come up here and click the dashboard link or this PTO Exchange icon. That'll bring you right back here. Or if you ever have a question, you're confused about something, or you just have a question and you'd like to get an answer before you actually make your transaction, just send us a note at support@ptoexchange.com, and we will answer your question as quickly as we can.